does he do? He might go all the way. He gives it a ride. It's a chance. It'll be a goal. Wants me rolling through. He can. Cometh the moment. Cometh the champion.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Swans Blog, Swans Cast. Tonight, I'm joined by Matt Jensen, known from Twitter and Facebook. Matt, how are you?
I'm well, Justin. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
That's good.
Now, I've come to know that you're an avid Swan supporter, a bit of a bloodliner, as you would sort of self-describe yourself.
Yeah. How did you find that out? It's not hard,
I
is it?
believe it's on your Twitter profile.
It is. It is. I do love the Swannies.
Yes, we all do. Without the Swans, there would be no podcast.
Oh, it'd be terrible, wouldn't it? I can't imagine life without it.
I know. I've only done 11 episodes. I'd be devastated.
You're a veteran.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
Now, as a diehard supporter, how did you actually come to follow the Swans? Do you have South Melbourne connections, as a lot of Victorian supporters do? Or is it just something you went, you know what, I'm going to follow the Swans today?
Yeah, look, it's a crazy little story, actually. So I grew up in Adelaide, and I'll show my age, but in the 80s, I'd play football on a Saturday, and then, the VFL was played on a Saturday, and there was a half an hour highlights that night, but on a Sunday, when the Swans moved up to Sydney and had their home games at the SCG, that it was televised live on a Sunday. So, Mum and Dad and everyone would be out mowing lawns and stuff, and I'd be glued to the TV watching the Swans. John Northey, Till Carter and Tony Morwood, Dennis Carroll, and it was probably from there. I just was fascinated by the Swans. So, and then to move over to Sydney a couple of years ago, and just get connected in so well. It's in the blood. I think I bleed red and white.
And so now that you've moved to Sydney, what is it like being in Sydney? Are you more involved in the sport and the Swans, or is it a little bit like a completely different environment? Because myself, coming from Melbourne, it is footy mad down here, and my trips up to Sydney, it's completely different environment.
Yeah. Oh, look, I mean, I was really lucky. Andrew Pridham just picked up, our chairman picked up on from Twitter a couple of years ago that I was really passionate about the club, and really lucky that he connected me into a couple of the coterie groups. So when I moved over to Sydney, I'm a grown adult, but you've got to make new friends, you've got to find a new hairdresser, you've got to find all those new things, and being connected in at the Swans at the coterie group, I just met so many amazing people last year, and then this year they asked me to join the Bloodliner group, which is about 40 or 50 of us that just travel to most games and sort of help the club in some ways as well. And we might be able to touch on that, but just to be able to move over and connect in. So I mean, it's just been incredible. It is a different footy culture. I mean, you're down in Melbourne. You only have to go, sort of after a game, there'd be 5,000 people waiting for Buddy's autograph out of the Hawthorn change rooms. Up here, he's still got probably 5,000, but everyone else can sort of sneak out. So it's a slightly different, it's a different feel. I remember when we were 06, flicking through the paper over a copy on Sunday, and I think the first 8 pages of the sport was still rugby. And in Melbourne they'd be calling for heads.
Yeah, they'd be calling for Longmire to be sacked and all the players to be fired out of a cannon, and
they make up stories. So it's a really different football culture. So you get a little bit closer, I think, to the club that you're passionate about in Sydney than you would in an Adelaide or Melbourne. But it's for me. I don't know. I've been so fortunate. It's incredible.
Well, what you do now is actually quite close to the club itself. Now, you're an Associate Director of Pride Inclusion Programs at ACON. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I've just joined actually 5 weeks ago. So I had a banking career before that. And ACON was sort of established 30 years ago as the AIDS Council of New South Wales. So it's had a deep history and heritage around LGBTI health. and they have a Pride inclusion program called Pride in Diversity, which sort of started out to help corporate, not-for-profit, and government departments with the workplace inclusion for LGBTI people, and it's just transformed the workplace to be so much more inclusive. And then, earlier in the year, I was helping the Swans with a couple of things around inclusion and LGBTI, and then I just started doing some research, and ACON were growing, and there's 2 new programs they've asked me to come in and lead. So, all about pride in sport and then health and well-being, because the 2 are just so intrinsically linked as well.
Well, that's absolutely fantastic. And you said to me earlier that you're actually doing a little bit of climbing onto the Adelaide Oval roof before the match. And this is another endeavour that has something to do with health as well?
Yeah, so look, I'm on the New South Wales Advisory Board for the Jodie Lee Foundation, and the foundation was established in honour of Jodie Lee, who lost her battle with bowel cancer at 41. And I met Jodie's husband, Nick, probably 5-6 years ago now, when he came in and presented at Bank SA, and I took the simple screening test that detects bowel cancer. Mine came back fine. But hearing, Nick's story and the pain of losing Jodie at 41 just sort of got me connected in. And so I've been raising some money over the years and helping the foundation. And before the Swans Crows game this Friday night, the CBA Commonwealth Bank Roof Climb have donated a group climb. So Nick and I and 12 others will be climbing the roof. And I'm petrified of heights, so this is. This is a big deal for me. But we've raised $4,000 or $5,000 already just from the climb. So really,
that's amazing.
It's incredible. And later in the year, I'm doing an 80-kilometre hike through Victoria.
Wow.
So people can
hopefully
Google.
Hopefully it's through the wine region, of course.
Well, it's actually starting in Castlemaine, and Nick assured me that it was it was the week that the football had the bye. That bye between the
the finals bye.
Yeah, but it's not.
Yep.
It's the first week of the finals, and
oh no,
I haven't missed a home or an away game all year and last year. So I don't know how this is going to work. I'm going to have to helicopter myself. Yeah. Well, then we might be in Adelaide again, right? I'll miss it then because the hike's Friday and Saturday. So.
Well, if we finish top 4 and the first week isn't so good, then you'll definitely get a home game in Sydney.
I'm hoping for a home final on a Saturday night because I could get back for it.
Yep.
Or any final in Melbourne, I'll just drive after the hike to get there. So, but we are taking it 1 week at a time, aren't we?
You're going to have to hike pretty fast.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought after 6 weeks we'd be even thinking about it?
I know. It would have been pretty easy to book that sort of thing in about 3 months back when we're 3-7 or something like that.
Yeah, when we were 0-6, I was thinking, gee, it's September for the first time in a while. It's going to look pretty free, and last year was booking travel every week, and it's a busy time. And I was thinking, what's going to happen? In September.
Yeah, you can find something else to do, maybe go on a holiday, but
the worst
not anymore.
Yeah, no, it's looking good.
Oh, it's looking very good. Now, on to our first segment, Heroes and Villains. Now, do you have a hero of the week?
Yeah, look, I do. I think too, Joe Watson, obviously, retiring with, real dignity, and you just hear him speak. If you close your eyes, you think it's Timmy, don't you? It's, just a horrific time, and the way he's handled it. I also think Rodney Eade has handled his sacking, which coincidentally was after 19 rounds, and he got sacked by the Bulldogs after 19 rounds. So, I just think the way he's handled it, sometimes it's, it's what happens around you, and you just have to work through it, and he's done it really well.
His interview was, I thought it was superb as well, especially when he talked about the emotional devastation that he had going back to the club, and he phrased it like going back to an ex that had cheated on you, but you just can't reconnect.
Oh, incredible. Yeah. Hope his ex wasn't listening.
I thought he was talking about his girlfriend from America for a minute. I was like, oh, poor guy.
Yeah, this is Joe, not Rodney. Yeah.
Lost it all.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was a good analogy.
Yeah, it was. I think he's had a terrific career, and I'm definitely supportive of his choices afterwards. He wants to go back to America. He wants to go back to the cafe. Hopefully he'll turn that into a raging success.
Yeah, no, good luck to him. Good luck to him, the champion.
Absolutely. Now, I have a hero, and I've kind of done it a little bit before, but my hero of the week is the Geelong Football Club.
Oh.
Now, it's probably a bit of a stretch, but the reason is they went into the game they went into it as underdogs. Yeah. Everyone was talking about the demise of Geelong, how they're going to lose to Richmond, how Richmond are just going to charge forward in the top four and they're going to cement their place.
Yeah.
And Richmond started pretty well. I think they kicked the first 2 or 3 goals of the game. And then the Cats just they came back hard. Yeah. And
the noise built.
Yeah, so they kicked the first 2 goals, and then after that, Geelong just smashed them for the remaining 2.5 quarters. So I was watching parts of the game, and it was just like, you know what? You're without Selwood, you're without Hawkins.
Yeah, it's a good win.
Yeah, it was a very good win. So
a loud crowd.
Yes, absolutely, and they've cemented their top 4. So, what do you think?
Oh, look, I mean, maybe on the flip side of that, Richmond really disappointing. I mean, they going down the highway favourites, I think, weren't they?
They were quite strong favourites too.
All the talk through the week was Tigers, Tigers, Tigers. My mum actually back in Adelaide's mad Richmond. So she was devastated. So it's
she would be.
Yeah. Her Facebook posts are normally, I am from Tigerland when they win, and there wasn't any from Tigerland, so I knew they lost. Guys, a villain for me was the Tigers.
Yeah, I can understand that. And look, just before you say why, I just got to say one of the neighbours in my estate actually took down their Richmond flag after the game.
Oh wow, that's a big call.
They proudly displayed it out the front of their property for like 2.5 years, and they took it down.
Wow. Yeah, well, they haven't had it up on the real flag since the 80s, have they? So.
No, so the meltdown is real.
The meltdown. Oh, they jump off pretty quick though, the Tiger fans.
Yep. Yeah, they certainly do. Yeah. So, your villain of the week is Richmond?
It was Richmond, but I actually think the Gold Coast too, Justin.
Yes.
I mean, Gold Coast, I thought through today, a lot of examples where you sack a coach and that first game, the new coach just gets a little bit of, a bit of energy in the place, and they come back. Yep. I mean, I think, Paul Roos won his first game as a Swans coach, didn't he?
Yeah, and after that he said, I should retire now with 100%. Yeah,
1-0. Which, it's an interesting one. It'd be interesting to study. But I remember, Terry Wallace won his first game as a Footscray coach after Alan Joyce was sacked years ago. But so for the Gold Coast to travel up to at the Gabba and lose by 58 points, I mean, to the bottom side, I mean, Brisbane have had some, reasonable games, but just showed nothing. So villain of the week for me, the Gold Coast.
Yes, absolutely. And they actually led early in the third quarter.
Oh, that's crikey.
And then the Lions just torched them. Just killed them, absolutely killed them. And just watching the score on the radio in the car, and I was listening to it, and you just kept on creeping up by 6 points every couple of minutes, and you're just like, Christ, this is bad.
Yeah, it's
very bad.
Not good. It's just a soulless club. Like, I hope they fix it, but
it's a bit of a shame, to be honest.
Bit of nothing. Yep.
Now, my villain of the week is a bit of a combination. It's got to go to the AFL and the MRP combined. I reckon, and I know we've discussed this on the podcast before, the AFL's created a bit of a elephant in the room with the MRP, and its original purpose was to try and stamp out, or at least pre-rule on things that really don't need to go to the tribunal, or if they went to the tribunal, they would be ruled as guilty anyway. But what it's really done is it's created this situation where even the most minor things that happen in a match are heavily scrutinised, and then you can get suspended for it.
Yeah.
So should Green have been suspended or even fined for the boot? It's kind of debatable, to be honest.
It depends what angle you looked at it. I don't think he karate kicked him. Like, it wasn't the Mr. Miyagi, but it
certainly wasn't the Dutch guy in the Soccer World Cup, like 2014, I think it was, when he went in and kicked him.
Yeah, for soccer he would have stayed down as well. But
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
And anyone who's played football would know that something like that happens. You don't do it maliciously. Like you'll be in the middle of a kick or going up for the ball, and you put your leg out to protect yourself.
Instinct tells me that it's not often that your studs on your boots are up in the air at that level, pointing upwards. Like it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just didn't look right, and maybe they needed to do something. But
I think they do. But at the same. Yeah, they did. And look, at the same time, I think it's created this situation where everyone's very hypercritical of events that happens in matches, and there's too much commentary about it. You have columns dedicated to the MRP. You got John Ralph constantly talking about the MRP after the games, even though like 90% of the time he's completely off base or incorrect.
Yeah, I don't take much notice of it, to be honest. I might see the headline on AFL 360, and I'm interested in who's in and out, but some of the finer sort of details. Otherwise, it just drags on.
It does.
I'd rather watch the replay of the game.
And even then, the MRP itself has become a bit of a circus, bit of a sideshow to the AFL itself. So, it takes 3 days. Like why not just make a decision straight away?
Look at a precedent and just let them know it the next day.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's an argument that's been floated around this year by coaches in the league. So,
come on, Justin. I think you can get that change. Come on, let's.
Yeah. If I had the strength and following, that would be definitely up
there.
Let's
get a bumper sticker or something.
I'll tell you what, though, the MRP is almost a villain every second week now.
Are they? Oh, dear.
Yeah, they've come up at least 2 or 3 times before. So,
wow. Okay.
Yeah, they're a favourite around here, favourite discussion topic.
Good. I look forward to hearing next week's.
Yeah, it'd probably be the MRP again.
Oh, wow. You're on a bandwagon.
Oh, for sure. Now, you were at the ground on Saturday afternoon, were you?
I was, and I actually sat. I normally sit upstairs, and I sat down with a couple of friends at ground level, and I don't think I've ever sat at ground level at an AFL game, and it's really interesting. You can certainly see a different element. Like it's harder to see down the other end, but gee, when it's close up, the bumps are harder. The noises are louder. Yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly a very different experience when you ride up the fence as well.
Yeah,
especially when you hear them talking and yelling to each other and giving directions.
It was interesting actually. It was great. But in terms of the game, I mean, gee, I remember tweeting. We kicked the first 4 goals, 5 goals, 6 goals, 7, 8 goals. It was. It was just incredible. And I had a look today. Fremantle had 14 players with less than 15 possessions, which it's just remarkable. I thought it might have had it at half time or something, but I made sure it was the end stats. And Swans only had 7, and of the Swans 7 that had under 15 possessions, Reid, Rowan, and Hayward all kicked 2 goals, and Sinclair had 1. So. Yeah,
exactly.
So you take that any day. It was just an absolute domination.
Well, the one thing that might shock you is that early in the fourth quarter, they still had 9 players under 10 possessions.
Is that right? Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if I go over it, right, they've got Joel Hamling had 9, but he was well beaten. Hayden Ballantyne had 8, and my print off is still missing everyone else. So
Jared McVeigh was good down there. Buddy was good. Luke Parker was I don't know. It was one of those games in the closest season for on record probably to have the biggest win now of the season of any game, 104 points. Like the percentage went up 6%. Like it's incredible.
Yes, and the last 2 weeks percentage has gone up about 10%.
It's unbelievable. We've won, 12 of the last 14. If we take out the 2 Hawthorn losses, we haven't lost since round 6 against Carlton. Like it's
pretty much
remarkable. And there's a couple in there that we're probably, Essendon and another one that we probably were a bit lucky to win. But gee, it's
Richmond, the Richmond game. Yep.
Oh, that was a magnificent game. That one.
Yeah, there's a couple games there that maybe perhaps we didn't really deserve to win, but we won them.
Sorry, Mum. Yep.
Look, I thought the performance overall was absolutely superb. And I was trying to think at quarter time, even in the first quarter, I'm scratching my head going, I honestly don't know who is going to be best on ground. Franklin was ripping it in the first quarter. I think he had 8 or 9 disposals in the first quarter alone. He had a goal. He had a couple of tackles.
Yeah, he took a couple of marks.
50s. Yes, exactly.
And what about the crowd? It was, 39?
Superb,
nearly 40,000. And we were sort of having a bit of a guesstimate, and it just looked full. It was sunny, great time for kids. We're winning.
You kicked a kick after the siren as well, which is a big one.
The biggest roar on the day, isn't it?
Yeah, there was the big cheer that went around the ground with about 5 minutes left, and the commentator, there was Jason Bennett. He goes, the crowd's cheering themselves. Well done.
Yeah.
And then about a minute later, another one even louder goes up, and it's like, they've announced kicked a kick.
Yeah, normally it's a boo.
Yeah, I know.
It looked amazing too, the ground, because the sun was sort of coming across from the members, that side of the ground. It was just beautiful. It was amazing.
Yeah. But I've been there a few times.
Have you? Well, you're coming up to the Carlton game, aren't you?
I went to... Yeah, I'm thinking about doing the Carlton game, but I went to the Hawthorn game, which was unfortunate, and I went to the Suns game as well.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the Suns game.
Yep, that was a good one.
It was, and I was up there with... in one of the corporate events with the Redback members.
Even better. Very good.
Even better, yeah. And I consumed a little bit of alcohol, so it was a good night.
Yeah, I must admit, if I have a couple of wines before the game or at the game, I have to come home and watch the replay, because you end up talking to too many people, and
having fun.
I want to go and watch it, but I do come home straight away and watch it as well. Especially that last 12 or the last 14. Makes for a late night on a Friday night when you run home, watch the game.
Oh yeah, for sure. But the one you're not going to come back and watch is the Hawthorn game, of course.
No, I don't watch those ones. And the grand final, I've never seen it again. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah.
No, me neither. We don't talk about that around here.
No. Good. I like this even more, Justin.
Yeah. But look, we're as far as performances go, Fremantle were terrible. Really abject in that first quarter alone. And I watched the replay of the first quarter and the last quarter yesterday.
Ah, wow.
And I read a little bit more analysis about how Fremantle were going. And to be honest, they were well beaten in the first quarter, but they weren't without the chances, and they certainly had opportunities inside 50. But the Swans were leading 12-3 when we got our first goal, when Sam Reid kicked a point, and then we got our first goal after that.
I think they did. Did they kick two in a row? I think they might have kicked two in a row in the third or something, and people around us jokingly, sort of, they've got the momentum. Like it was one of those. It was one of those games, like a cricket game when the first team is all out for 80, and you just know that, they're going to come in and win it. The crowd it was one of the first games in a long, long time that you just
relaxed.
You just knew it was over, and it was just a barbecue atmosphere without the barbecue. It was crazy.
Oh, look, and the way the Fremantle players turned up in the first quarter, it certainly helped the cause.
No wonder why Ross has rung Eddie this week, eh?
Get me out of here.
So Brad Hardy says, anyway.
Yeah, look, you never really know.
Crazy.
So many stories get made up in Melbourne media, it's just insane.
Yeah.
And Luke Parker, again, pegged one from the boundary in that spot that he did against the Cats, roughly about the same area.
Yeah, he's actually been a bit inaccurate in front of goals this year. Like, I think his ledger's either close or a little bit behind, so it was good to see him get some goals on the weekend.
Well, he put 3 through, so that was a superb effort. And Hanbury's kind of picking back up again. He played very much on the outside this time, so he wasn't... Well, he was in the centre clearances, but he played more off the wing than anything else.
Yeah, he sort of connected a lot, didn't he? And Papley was in the middle a bit more. And...
Yep, Papley was in there pretty much the first couple of contests of every quarter.
Sinclair in the ruck to start with.
Yeah, exactly. And
Tippett
I like
forward.
that.
I like that, yeah.
And Sinclair and Tippett rotated. I thought that was superb because it really mixes up the forward line presentation, but also the structure.
Yeah.
And before then, we were doing... one ruck on, one ruck off, and sometimes the ruck resting in the forward line.
Yep.
But now that Towers is going into playing as a relief ruck, we're actually keeping one at full forward. The other one comes off, and Towers takes that second ruck duty.
Then you put Reid in there as well, and
absolutely.
And you've got those, buzzy little Papleys and Rowans, and it's not bad.
Well, what did you think of Tippett's game?
I'm a Tippett fan, and mainly because it winds up my Adelaide friends as well, because they were filthy that he came to Sydney via a holiday on the Gold Coast. I actually think we play better when he's in the team. He put round 13 or 14 last year before he got his first injury. He was
13, yes,
13 was it? Yeah. Unlucky for some. He was all Australian form. I rate him. I think we're better when he's in the ruck, and sort of have that buddy. And last year he went forward a lot more because Reed wasn't playing as well. So I'm a bit of a fan, and I don't think he needs 20 possessions. He's 15, kick a couple of goals, do some work around the ground. How about you? What's your view? I'm a fan.
To be honest, I was very critical and a bit earlier on, and I was very sceptical as well that he would actually come back in and be able to perform at a high level.
Yeah, he's better each week though, isn't he?
He is. He is a momentum player, and he's certainly a confidence player. And at times in the Geelong game, he certainly looked like he might have been devoid of confidence, but it was slowly building. Yeah. And obviously Sinclair played better than him, and that was always going to happen. But it was a bit like, okay, maybe if Naismith was available, he might have come out of the side and gone back to the Neefle. To be honest, I'm not sure we even need to change that combination now.
No, it'll be interesting, won't it?
It is, and it might be a bit much to jump from one extreme to the other based off one game. But the one thing that I've been long arguing for is this setup, that we can't play two rucks, one rotating off the bench. We keep them both on the ground, and then if not, have someone else take the ruck. If it's a Towers or a Reed.
I think that's definitely been a shift though, because traditionally we've always played two big ruckmen and one on and off, and I think there is definitely this shift now we've got Towers, Sinclair and Tippett, haven't we?
Yeah, we do. We certainly do. And look, I just want to run off some of the stats that I did for him, and also gave him an 8.5 on my player ratings.
Did you? How do you give halves? Like, you're so precise. That's amazing. Couldn't you just think it through and go with a 9? Or?
Well, I wouldn't say he was a 9, but I'd say he was
more like
better
an 8
than some of the other players, or more had more impact than some of the other players around him. Basically, I was watching the game and I thought the first quarter I was like, he's trying, he's getting near it, but he's not having much of an impact. Yeah. And then he laid that massive tackle.
Yeah, it was a
that
good tackle.
Was sensational. Yep. Now, did you know he had 8 tackles?
Yeah, that's right. Now, his pressure when he's got the ball around him and he brings it in, and he's a good target too.
I'm very happy with him to be the full forward ruck like Barry Hall used to be later in his career.
Yep.
If not, even have Sinclair and he plays out of the square. Okay. I'm very happy for that to continue. And that was always his best role. His best role was never a roaming ruckman.
No, not the whole game.
He could play it, but he was nowhere near good enough for it. Yeah. So he had, I couldn't actually find the stat on the AFL app or on the website, but in the first quarter, he was leading the game in one-on-one contests within about the first 15 minutes. He had 4 or 5 one-on-one contests.
Yeah, the ball was down there a bit early. Yeah,
it was, and they were going to him. He wasn't marking it, but he was always involved. Yeah, I guess that's always been a knock on him as well, is the fact that he's really struggled for marks, contested marks especially. Yeah, but he finished with 7 marks, 3 contested for the match. He had 4 marks inside 50, which is pretty good. He had 8 tackles, absolutely sensational. Yeah, that was actually a game high too.
Wow.
The highest of everyone.
Yeah, I wonder how many Dockers players had half of that, 4.
Yeah, I know. And they had also 2 inside 50s for 2 goals.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a fan. And they remember Malcolm Blight used to say in September the tall guys get taller. And,
they do,
it might just be good to have him in September.
Yes. If he can play near his best in September, great. If he gives us another repeat of last year's September, maybe not so great.
Move on.
Move on, yeah. Thank you, Kurt. You've been good for the club.
He's a good man.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Got no knock on him as a character, just sometimes he's been a frustrating player.
Yeah. Every club has one of those.
Yes, that's very true. Overall, I thought it was a great performance. It was a very good controlled performance. The Swans never looked at threat. To be honest, Fremantle looked very poor.
Yeah, I haven't seen...
They looked like they didn't even travel.
Yeah, I haven't seen a performance like that for a while where I'm a pretty of a nervous watcher, so even 5 goals up with 5 minutes, I'm still biting my nails, and you just knew, honestly, you just knew that in the first 15 minutes, it's all over. There was 5 or 6 goals up. Haven't we started well lately, though? We started well against the Cats. Started well the last few weeks. in the finals last year against Adelaide, Geelong, we started well. So it just seems, we've got to take that into this week.
And it's a very good brand of finals football. And that's what a lot of opponent or opposition coaches have said is it's finals football. They do it better than anyone else.
Yeah.
And I know whichever Scott twin it is that coaches Geelong, I think it's Brad Scott, always get mixed up.
Yeah.
He said that it was finals football at its best, that they just couldn't answer.
Yeah.
So other than that, anything else you want to add about the game?
No, I think, look, it wasn't a great game to talk about, other than it was a great game, but, we just dominated. I can't, Nat Fyfe was probably good for Fremantle, but outside of that, there was just nothing.
Taberner, I thought Taberner was quite impressive, and Cam McCarthy had a decent game. So they would feature strongly in their own best and fairest after that game. And I thought, the one thing that I found out of that game is I think the Swans struggle with a mobile, medium-sized forward. Yeah,
well, actually, because I was on the ground level, I actually looked down. Like Grundy, and he's not super tall. Like the rest of the backs are only mid sort of talls, but
they are,
but they just don't get beaten. Like Rampy and those sort of players, they it just comes down like a lot of confidence. It comes down. You're sort of not nervous when it's down back because you just got a lot of confidence in their abilities. It's funny, isn't it?
It is, and Rampy led the day. His first game as captain.
The Great Dane,
he was sensational as well.
Yeah.
His stats were out of this world, and just having a quick look, I also gave him an 8.5.
Hey, so he had 8.5.
8.5 again. They were great at both ends.
Yeah, he was good.
He finished with 27. He had 10 contested possessions, 6 marks, and 7 rebound 50s.
Yeah.
And even better, 6 spoils. So he was very crafty.
He's a good player.
Yeah,
that's
and
good.
It's great to have Reid back in the team playing well.
He took a couple of great grabs, didn't he?
He did, yep. Dane Rampy killing it down back. That has steadied the back line. Simon McVeigh, we missed him.
Yeah,
Happily.
The general back there, isn't he? McVeigh.
He is.
He's clean and you look better with him there. What's he playing now? He must be getting close. High 290s now, isn't he?
Yeah. So
295 or 6 or something.
He's got, I think, 3 or 4 games left.
Yeah.
Until he gets his 300.
Wow.
And there's all that contract sort of babble. So we never really know where he could be next season.
No. If anyone's going to do it well in terms of list management, and it's the Swans, isn't it?
It's the Swans.
Yeah.
And I also hypothesised in one of my recent articles where I said that if the Swans win the premiership, I suspect that he might retire.
Oh, so I think we all will.
Because he'll make the 300, he'll be the life member,
and
then he's got the ultimate thing to fall back on. Premiership done, what else could I possibly do? There's no point in stretching it out for another season or 2.
Oh, it's incredible. Would that be 3? Oh, let's not talk about it. But, 1 week at a time. Eh?
1 week at a time, yep.
One premiership at a time. It's just incredible that you're even talking about it. It's
I know. Thought. Oh, look, I was talking about this at round 7, but everyone laughed at me.
The Brisbane game was a turning point.
Not for me. I was talking about it still when we were playing like numpties, but
I always believed, but sitting at the MCG for the Carlton game, there's people in the club actually talked about it. They hadn't been involved in a loss personally to Carlton in 10, 15 years of footy because they've just been down for so long. So it was it was a cold day, and I flew down and back in the same day, and you're flying back, and it's a long day, and then you think 0-6. I just can't believe it. I think that was the game Rowan got knocked out as well. It was just nothing
himself
good
out
about it.
For that specky.
Yeah, he did.
I just remember after that all the 0-6 jokes.
Oh yeah. They
were pretty good. They were pretty funny.
Knock knock.
Yeah.
All your mates they come out of the woodworks then, don't they?
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
Oh, especially the dog supporters. The dog supporters loved it.
I was getting all the da 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 da. I was like,
never mind them getting the armchair ride throughout the finals and the pre-season bye, which helped them actually win the first game by getting 5 of their best players back.
Free kick count 21-8.
Free kick count. let's never mention this to any dog supporters, They're like, what you talking about? We won a fair and square. Yeah, sure you did, mate. Sure you did.
Yeah,
let's take those 3 umpires out and replace them with someone competent, and let's see what actually happens.
Yeah, it didn't help, but well.
No.
It'll be sweeter this year.
Well, I don't know if you actually believe this, but the Bulldogs are once again on top of the free kick count.
Yeah, well, imagine if they missed the 8.
Well, they won the free kick count on the weekend too. Let me just double check. I need to double check this.
Is there any halves?
They, let's see, free kicks.
When we played them in round 3, wasn't it, as well? When we played this year, played it right, and they beat us. The free kick count was 20 to teens as well.
Lost. So, well, get this right. They lost a free kick count on the weekend, 20-11.
Oh dear!
And they won the inside 50 count by 31.
Wow! What site do you use for all your stats?
Yeah, and they lost by 48.
Wow! Yeah, they got pumped, didn't they?
Yeah. Did you watch the game at all?
I actually didn't watch that one. What was I was out training actually for the trek, and I was listening to a bit of it. But yeah, they got pumped.
They did. Oh,
yeah.
They kind of came back into it, and they were threatening in the third quarter without actually doing anything.
Yeah, Giants are coming.
Oh, they like the first 10 minutes they were kind of close enough, and then just bang, the Giants just wiped them off.
Yeah.
Just wiped them off the floor. So they kicked, was it 1 goal late for the second half? So the Giants kicked 9 goals for. So they smoked them. Absolutely.
So they're in danger of missing the 8. I mean,
they are.
I was doing the Bailey ladder predictor before coming on.
Everyone does. Yep.
Well, and I thought, I don't know why I'm doing it because I haven't picked 9 all year. So why even? But if I did get 18 out of the next 18 right, they might just sneak in, but they could be 9th. Could be probably 9th.
I think they'll be 9th. They do have some winnable games, but the way they're playing,
Port in Ballarat, and then Hawthorn. I mean, Hawthorn on a Friday night. It's at Etihad though, so round 23. So
yeah, it is. It's certainly interesting. And the other thing is on that Port Adelaide game. If you're going by footy logic for this season, Port Adelaide should lose because they haven't beaten a top 8 team when they played them.
No.
Except for the Swans in the first round.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, no, actually, no, sorry, I'm wrong. Western Bulldogs are out of the top 8, so Port Adelaide should win.
Yeah, that's right. Right now they are, yeah.
Yeah, they're 9th, so I'm going to tip Port Adelaide for that game.
Well, I did the old Bailey ladder predictor, and it could work out that Bulldogs are in the 8 at the end by a game, which, everyone's been talking about percentage. It could come down to, 0.1, and, you like your halves. Imagine if we actually end up that it's a game clear, like it's unheard of, considering how close it's been.
Yeah, I know. And look, if Port Adelaide managed to throw the game against the Dogs, which is, it's all possible, and the Swans win, of course, then it will be a game.
It's all what the Tigers do as well. Like they've got Dockers in Perth, but up to the weekend, I don't know. But then they've got St Kilda at the MCG, which Saints weren't great, but I mean, if Richmond, I've got them winning both and finishing 3rd, which is just incredible. Especially after losing to the Cats.
Absolutely. Look, both those teams, Geelong and Richmond, they're not without their own throwing the baby out with the bathwater moments. And Geelong still have to play Collingwood, and then they've got the Giants at home.
Yeah.
Richmond, as you've said, they've got St Kilda, and who was the other team?
Who's that?
Who do they play next week? Richmond?
Richmond have got Fremantle this week, and then
over in Freo though.
Yeah, then I've got St Kilda.
So you just never know. I mean, these are banana skin games.
Collingwood, Melbourne, in round 23.
Yep, absolutely. Ooh. And look, Collingwood weren't bad against Port Adelaide.
No.
They just didn't have the players to actually really win the game, and that's not to say that Port Adelaide were fantastic. They weren't.
Yeah.
And I think better teams beat Port Adelaide.
Yeah, well, Collingwood have got them and then Melbourne. So, I mean, they could help shape that final way.
Exactly.
As well.
And Collingwood have beaten Geelong the last couple of times too, and they've beaten them comfortably. So it's it's all up in the air.
Yeah, it does my head in because it's sort of.
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking about that first week in the trek. Where am I going to be? And I just got to wait a couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally understand that.
Yeah.
And look, Adelaide proved their premiership credentials with a pretty solid win against Essendon at the Dome.
Adelaide Oval.
Yeah, so I've never been at Adelaide Oval, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, you need to go. It's
everyone says it's good.
The vibrancy that what it's done to Adelaide and the city is just incredible. I mean, did you see Port's banner the other week with the Crows banner? Port banner when they ran out had knitting, Chardonnay, paying the Adelaide fans out, and then they smashed them. But it's just incredible atmosphere. And I looked today. We actually beaten the Crows there.
The first time we played them.
Yeah, first time we played them. And my little nephew, who lives in Adelaide, loves the Swans. He said, "Oh, it looks they're all leaving in the last quarter." And he turned around and he said, "Oh, Uncle Matt, looks like they're all getting the early train." So for me, it's like get on top of them early and let's send them home on the early train. But it's a big game. We actually last year was round 4 and it was a cracking game.
It was.
I think it was
one of the best of the season.
Yeah, it was actually one of the best games of the year, like you said, and it was 3 or 4 points the difference with seconds to go, and then they kicked a goal. So it was 10 points, but it was actually it was nail biting stuff.
On that one, there was a very particular passage of play. Rather,
you've got a good memory.
That led right up to Magic Eddie's goal. And it was Tom Mitchell had the ball on the halfback flank.
Yep.
And he's decided he's going to go long down the line. And I think it was like Lever or someone else who took the mark and rebounded. Wow. And that's how Eddie got his goal.
Got a good memory. Was it Eddie? Was it the last goal? Yeah.
Yeah, he got the last one. What he should have done was he should have looked inboard because there's Franklin and two other players free in about 40 metres of space.
Yeah, that's right.
And all he had to do was hand it off, and they could have literally just run the ball straight into the forward 50 without any opposition whatsoever.
Yeah. I think we did that the weekend after or something as well. There was another close game, and we didn't quite get that. Yeah, that's right.
It was Towers who went down the line, which a lot of people criticised him for. I didn't think it was such a bad idea. There was a better option, but
that's right.
He went down the line. That's what you do, right?
I took my mum to that one, and Richmond won by a point after the siren. It's oh my god.
Lloyd kicking the goal, the only good thing he's ever done.
I'll send you a little video. Mum was beside herself. She was dancing and screaming. It was good to see, but I wish it wasn't me.
And you're sitting there, head in hands.
Yeah. Why me?
Tigers. How could we lose to that mob again?
Yeah.
Hey, at least revenge was sweet in round 23.
Oh, it was brilliant. Yeah, I did. There was no one from Tigerland Post that night.
No, and I bet your mum said nothing.
No, she's a good sport though. She's happy because for me and my little nephew that we were very happy. So she's a good loser, I guess. It's important.
Oh yeah, true. Very true. And, look, with Port Adelaide getting thrashed and then failing to beat the Pies by a significant amount of margin, it's opened up the race for the Swans. So, our forecast, our run in is looking winnable. But
it's a big game this week. Gee,
it's a very big game. I think the Swans are up to it. A lot has been talked about the Adelaide midfield, about how flexible or good it is. Yeah. But it all comes down to basically Sloane and Matt Crouch.
Is that right?
They don't have the depth of players that the Swans have. For instance, we've beaten Geelong. We smashed them by nearly 8 goals without Kennedy. We completely destroyed or obliterated Fremantle without Kennedy, who in the last time they played, last year, had 45 disposals in a then record win between the two teams for the Swans.
Did you give him 9.5 or 10?
Who, Parker?
No, on that game.
I gave Parker 9.
9? No half?
I gave Franklin 10.
Ah, cool.
I gave Franklin 10 because he finished with 4 goals, 4 in the first half, 24 disposals, 8 marks, 3 of them contested, 4 clearances, 3 tackles, 10 inside 50s, 13 score involvements, and 567 metres gained. That is a freak
That's
performance.
a big game. Are you the one that do you mark it in your little book during the game, like the goals?
No. Look, sometimes during games I'll like take screenshots of the stats and I'll use the eyeball test. So I'll kind of like, I can see what they're doing there. Oh, they did some really good things, and other times. See, the thing is, I try and keep up with what's going on, trying to remember things. There was one particular game. It was the St Kilda game earlier in the year when we beat them by 7 goals, 8 goals. Yep, down at the Dome.
Yep,
and Gary Rowan was playing, and he didn't really have any possessions. He wasn't really getting anything. And this is when he was dropping marks constantly. And he was criticised for his performance. But the one thing you saw at the ground was his pressure acts and his closing speed.
Yeah.
And getting from contest to contest, regardless how tight it was.
Yeah. He's quick. He's quick.
He's quick. And it was that pressure that helped lock the ball in the first half. Without him chasing, they would have just been able to pretty much walk it out unopposed.
Yeah.
So him and Papley doing that is sensational. And it's something I don't think we had enough of last year.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to a couple of people at the game, and there was, you talk to, the club champion award and things like that. I've heard John Longmire talking about if there was a footballer made and built to play for the Swans, it was Josh Kennedy. He loves that style. But on the other side, I just think sometimes it's that little bit of magic, that little burst in a final that can just be enough to win it. And Papley, Rowan, maybe Reed, he doesn't get heaps of it, but those quick little guys on the ground, a Papley or Rowan magic for 5 minutes might not just be enough. A bit like Malcheski in 2012, it was just that little bit of magic at the end, and that's what I'm dreaming of against the Crows and in September.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and a really good example of that is Hayward. He doesn't get much of the ball, but he is super efficient with it. Yeah. And Rowan has become super efficient with the ball again.
Yeah. Big coaches, against Melbourne. Big coach's favourite player, everyone says.
Yes, Hayward, yes. That's a pretty good one, to be honest.
Yeah,
he got stitched up big time by the boys.
He did. Was that Papley? I think Tom...
I think it was Papley, yeah, dumped him in.
Said he was always in the coach's office.
And then you have a look at the photo where Longmire's, grinning from ear to ear like a Cheshire cat, and it's just like, you can see it. You can see the love.
Happy horse, yeah, no, he does like him. Hey, I'm still playing around with this Bailey ladder predictor, right? And if I get all 18 right, if the Crows win against Sydney, which is not going to happen, but if they do, and we win the next week, and the results go the other way as we think, the Swans will still be 5th.
Yep.
If they beat the Crows, it means they'll be 4 points up, but still 5th unless Geelong or Richmond lose again. So it's sort of it's got a lot of importance, but it might not actually mean as much from that 5th to 8th. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And all Sydney can do is, after the Hawthorn loss, they lost control of their own destiny, so to speak.
Yeah.
So all they can do is just win. That's it. And just hope that results fall their way.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
Yeah, and it's a pretty big round of football coming up. And not only do we play the Crows, and that's going to be a Friday night special. That's going to be a sensational game.
It's amazing.
But as we touched on, the Dogs are playing Port Adelaide.
Yeah, Dogs and Port's big. Yep.
And then we've got Collingwood and Geelong at the 210. Yep. That's going to be another massive one.
Yep.
And then we've got West Coast Eagles travelling to the Giants at Spotless.
Yep.
They're desperate to get back in the 8, but they are so bad they don't deserve to be anywhere near it.
Yeah.
So, in all honesty, if Swans win and a Giants win, Crows might not even finish top.
No, that's right. They could finish second.
So for all the rave that's been going on about the Crows and how poor the Giants were for like 2/3 of the season, they could do what Hawthorn used to do: just keep winning, finding ways to win, and then just be at the top of the pile. And when it really matters,
Crows would have to lose both. I mean, the Swans and then West Coast in Perth, which they did last year.
Well, it's only 2 points a gap.
Yeah.
So even if they drop one, that 2 points will be enough to push the Giants ahead. It's no, sorry, you're right. My bad. I was looking at Geelong and Giants. No, 6 points. You're right. So they would actually have to lose both.
I think they can lose, but if they lose both, Giants can be 2 points up if Giants win both.
Yep. So it really depends on Adelaide losing this match against us.
Yep.
And if they do and Giants win, they're only going to be 2 points behind and the pressure is certainly going to be on. Because unless someone has another draw, that's the only way the percentage is going to come into it.
Yeah, Adelaide's percentage is just too strong, so theirs isn't going to decide it. And the others are sort of in that 2 points off, so it's really only Sydney and Port and probably Essendon, West Coast, Melbourne.
Yep.
That their percentages are within that 1%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And 117, 115, 110. That's for Giants, Cats, Richmond. And then later on, you've got Melbourne 106, West Coast 105, Essendon 104, but they're a game behind. Western Bulldogs 98. They don't deserve to be anywhere near it. And St Kilda's 96, and they're 10-10, same with Essendon.
Yeah, tough gig for them to win. They've got to win both, and about 3 teams lose everything. I don't know if they can actually. I mean, I think they can still do it, but
they can.
They won't. They won't.
The interesting one is going to be the Suns and Bombers.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just never know. You never know what you're going to get from the Suns. I would think that they're probably not even going to turn up again and just get thrashed for the next 2 games.
Let's not play it.
No.
Yeah.
Then you got Carlton and Hawthorn, and Carlton almost beat Essendon a couple of weeks back.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Then we got that week off. I hate it. I don't like it. It just gets
I don't like the week off.
No, me neither.
Then you got Demons and Lions. Again, you never know. Saints and North. Again, you don't know. To be honest, I think St Kilda should win it. But then you got Fremantle and Richmond.
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, the Dockers might just... it's hard when you see... it's not like when you're a kid and you watch the footy and you just... I used to do the numbers of this team beat that team, so they would beat this other... It just doesn't work like that anymore, does it? So
no, the footy logic doesn't work anymore.
No, the Dockers could just go back and, and smash them, which would probably be good.
Well, they've had some good performances this season, and at one point they were in the top 8, threatening to finish top 8 for the season.
Well, they lost the first 2 or 3 and then won a lot. So
so it's just bizarre. Tricky. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so if we move on to our match preview.
Yep.
So we've already talked about the run home. We just have to win every game. There is no choice.
Yeah. It's just no question about it.
No question whatsoever. No. So for the Crows.
Yep.
So Taylor Walker had a foot complaint throughout the first quarter. He played out the rest of the game. And Pike afterwards said it was just a sore foot. And also Rory Sloane came for the ground late in the third quarter.
Ooh, let's tread on his foot and see how sore it is.
Yeah, exactly. And Sloane had a knee knock. So I'm praying both of them don't come up.
Yep.
Make it easy for us.
Gee, you're pretty tough. The Adelaide crowd.
I think we beat them full strength anyway. So it doesn't really
throw us off the roof.
It doesn't bother me if they do or don't turn up. And we know that Sloane's going to get off the chain because the Swans don't really have a tagging midfielder.
Yeah.
They might play Hewitt or Towers in a negating role.
Yeah, Hewitt's done a good job a couple of times.
He certainly has. I think the players that we need to shut down is Matt Crouch.
You're a Crouch.
His brother to some extent.
Yeah.
And Smith, definitely. Laird, definitely. And Douglas. I think we can go with Sloane racking up 30 possessions.
Yeah.
He does a bit with it, but he's not 100% threatening.
Yeah, okay. And it
could
rain as well. They're saying I'm getting all these messages saying pack your wet gear and you're going to get wet up on the roof. So I don't know, that changes things a bit.
It does. And if it is wet, I think the Swans have got that covered quite well. It's just a matter of who can win the territory game.
Yeah.
Pretty much get it forward quickest.
Oh, it just comes down to a big game, doesn't it? That's what it is.
Yeah, it really does.
Is it Friday yet? I wish it was.
Yeah, I know. I wish it was Friday already.
It's only Monday.
Well, the great thing about Friday is I'm doing a winery tour in the morning too. So, flying in at like 7 a.m. or something silly. Straight to the winery tour after the game.
Wow. Which part of where, like Barossa or down south?
Oh, I can't remember which one it is, but it goes through that German village.
Handorf.
Handorf, yeah.
Yeah. It's probably Shaw and Smith. There's a couple of nice ones up there.
Yeah, my partner's booked it, so I'm not too sure. So if we have a look at matchups, so this is going to be a really interesting one because Kennedy's in, barring any training or rehab mishap, he's in. Newman might not come up, and I think the Swans will play it conservative, and I don't think Newman will play.
Yeah, they normally manage it pretty well.
Yep, and if Sinclair or Tippett have an issue, Naismith comes in. Otherwise, Naismith stays out.
Yep. So who goes out? So maybe Kennedy in, Newman out, you think?
Yeah, and then it really opens up the what-ifs in round 23 because who do you think, because Newman's going to come back in, there's no way that we're not going to play Newman. Who do you think actually comes out for Kennedy? Because that's what it really boils down to.
Oh, it's so tough, isn't it? I mean, Newman if he's injured, I'm not good at. I leave it up to I don't know. It's a tricky one. It actually comes down to probably who we're playing and matchups, and
it does, yeah.
Match committee probably talk about it for hours, don't they? It's an interesting one. Yeah.
Well, basically, the three options I can think of is Hewitt, Hayward, and Towers.
Yeah.
And unless someone else is injured or someone else has knocks and they're going to rest him, because you run the risk of playing someone completely out of form by resting him in that last round, because they won't play for 3 weeks. One game in 3 weeks.
Mother and nephew and I, we with the footy cards, we sort of get 2 cards and we sort of play like, is Hanbury or Parker a better player, and then we, rank it all. It's probably how we'd have to do it, wouldn't we? We'd have to get those last 2 cards and
absolutely
have a bit of an arm wrestle who's in and out. It's a tough one. It's a good position.
And you still have
the reserves are going really well, and that they're playing well. Dan Robertson and a few others. So there's lots knocking on the door, which is good.
Yes, and there is a very strong need for contention as well, based on the fact that the Swans just don't have any injuries.
Yeah.
And it's, to be honest, it's a situation I can't remember the Swans ever being in.
No,
having one long-term injury from a guy who's in reserves. What is it? From our senior list, Naismith and Kennedy. But even then, we don't have any other injuries. They're all reserve players.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, you think of GWS 6 weeks ago couldn't fill the NEFL side.
Exactly.
We almost got a game.
Yeah.
We would one hit and we're broken. Yeah.
But if you're fit enough, they probably would have said, "Come on in for a couple of minutes."
Yeah, it's crazy.
But let's have a quick look at matchups. So I reckon the Swans are going to play a very similar structure. I honestly think that the Swans are going to start Sinclair in the ruck again, and they're going to go up against Sam Jacobs.
Yeah.
I think athletically he matches him. And then and what that's going to force is you're going to have Tippett, Reid, and Franklin in the forward line.
Yeah.
But if it is wet, like you said, I think even Tippett or Sinclair, one of those two might even come out.
Yeah, you never know, do you? I mean, I wonder you can probably make that call on the day and
absolutely
see what the weather's doing.
So someone like Robinson or Foote, I would expect to travel as an emergency.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was a late change to bring one of those in. Personally,
there
Robinson
you go.
Over Foote, but
you could tweak that and be very insightful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if it is dry, Talia and probably take
Talia,
Tippett.
Who gets Eddie?
Smith. Yeah. He's killed him every single time.
Yeah.
And then you got Jakey Lever taking Reid.
Yep.
Alex Keith taking Franklin, or maybe rotating between him and Talia.
Yep.
Atkins would take whoever's playing in the forward pocket, which might be Will Hayward or Rowan, and same with Brown.
Have you got your magnetic board out?
I've actually just got it printed off in front of me.
You've got it covered. Well.
The Rampy takes Walker. He's beaten him comfortably every time. Smith definitely takes Betts. Lynch is the interesting one. And I reckon, to be honest, I think they might play Towers at defence. If Newman isn't playing, Towers comes back and he plays as a half-back flank, which is actually his best position, playing in the back line.
Yeah, when you think of all those options, it's a pretty strong side.
It is. And then you've got Charlie Cameron, who will be picked up by probably Jones. Because I think, Jones or Mills. Mitch McGovern.
McVeigh. Who's McVeigh got?
To be honest, yeah, it's a good question. He might take. It depends whoever's playing on the half forward flank. So he might even take Cameron, or they might push him up on the wing, or even into the forward line.
Yeah,
If it's wet, I'd like to see him up on the wing. To be honest, I think the players in the back line are good enough. It's just we'll actually need the transition play.
Yeah.
So we'll have Lloyd, who's really good at that small to medium distance kicks, and then we just need someone else.
Yeah, I hope it's not wet because it has been high scoring against the Swans, against the Crows lately. Like the last 4 games, the winning side's been over 100. I mean, it's been high scoring, so it'd be nice to have a nice day.
We just run the risk of if it's dry. Yeah, well, the last time we played them was the semi-final, and it was dry.
Yeah,
and belted them off the park.
It was fantastic. It was one of the best nights of my life.
It was a sensational game.
I remember booking my flight to the prelim during I think it was and I never count thing, until the chickens hatched, and I booked my flight, sort of 3/4 time, just on the punt, because it was just going to get
7 goals or something.
And you could just see the price of the airfare going up by the goal.
Yep.
So I thought I'd just
demand.
Get on it now.
Pretty much $10 for every goal.
Yeah, that's right. I never do that because I'm too superstitious, but I did. Well, it's interesting. We have to check in next week and see if you got your selections right.
Well, I certainly hope so. But
I think you're on. Yeah, it's interesting.
And then you got Grundy who'll take Jenkins as well. So there's the magnetic board's definitely going to get a shovel this week.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, you might need to bring it with you.
All right, so have you got any quick predictions for that game?
In terms of the score?
Oh, just anything.
I don't know. I mean, I think early goals, get the Crows fans on the train home. We've started well. We have started really well lately. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be a classic. It's almost like one of those games you really look forward to, and I don't know. I think it's going to be close. I mean, 2 points maybe.
2 points. Yep.
And I will have no fingernails. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I reckon too.
I think really close and really just a really cracking game. If it's wet, it'll be tough. Crows, if they get behind,
cold and miserable.
Yeah, I think they've got Chico rolls in Adelaide though. So
ooh.
If it gets really cold, you just buy 2 of those and put them in your pocket. So I've done that at Hobart actually. I think I got 4 for 2 in each pocket. It was that cold last year.
Oh wow,
they're really good. And you can take them back at quarter time and they reheat them.
Oh no way! Returning your Chico roll.
It was freezing.
Well,
so I think 2 points. Swans by 2
points. You got Swans by 2 points. I got that written down here. Now,
Tipper kicks the goal after the siren, maybe.
Tip it after the goal. Tip it for goal after the siren. Yep, got that. Tip it.
What about you? What do you?
Siren.
What do you?
Now, I've had a bit of a thought about this.
Yep.
If Tipper plays, I reckon I've got 4 goals for Tippett.
4 goals? Wow.
Yeah, I reckon this could be the game.
This is the lad. This is like that Foxtel bit where they have the lad and they call it 4 goals to Tippett. Okay.
I reckon this could be the game.
Okay.
That really announces him back, back to close to best.
What a place to do it.
I reckon.
I think Eddie will go goalless.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
You watch now. Kick the first goal.
I reckon Papley, Rowan, and Reid will get 2 each.
That's what I had written down. Yep.
Yep, and I agree. Eddie goalless.
Cool. Lock it in.
But
if we both thought that, then that has to happen.
But I'm also going to go Sloan for 30 plus.
Yeah, that's okay.
But as long as we shut down...
Someone has to get it.
Someone has to get it. Someone has to get the kudos. But as long as we shut down Matt Crouch and Brodie Smith, and to a lesser extent Rory Laird, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. Cool. I like that.
They are their prime movers. So, and look, I reckon the Swans can win by 3 goals.
Oh, wow. Dead on 18 points.
Yep. My predictions have been all over the place this year anyway, so...
I actually don't do any tipping and stuff. It just does my head in, so I just, let it ride out. But
Yep.
Yeah,
Let It Ride.
I just got this feeling this is going to be a classic.
I sound like a gambling man. Let It Ride.
Yeah. You've got to know when to hold them.
Yep. Now, let's get some questions from our listeners.
Yeah.
So I've got Belden from Facebook. Can the Swans beat Adelaide? If not, what do we need to get out of the game with other games around the corner?
I mean, I think we've just talked about they can win, and
Yep.
we're both tipping them. I'm not one. I think sometimes when you lose, people come out, oh, it's the one you needed to lose, and all that. I don't.
The
Really...
Hawthorn game was that. This is
everyone said, it's not it. Just keep winning form's good form.
Yep.
I think if we do happen to lose, you just want to get through without any injuries, and you reset and you take on the Blues.
Absolutely agree, and we've talked about it already. Basically, what we can do is, and what we need to do, even if we don't win, is just try to win every game. There's only 2 games left, and if we lose both, we're pretty much basically going almost guaranteed to fall out of the 8. If we win one, we finish top 6. If we win both, we're an outside for top 4. Just pray for Richmond meltdown.
Yeah. That's...
Now, Stephen from Over the Line Sports, he asks, do we really need to finish top 4?
Well, the Bulldogs proved that you don't need to. They came from 7th last year. I mean, it makes it tough, right? You've got to win 4 finals. If you finish 5th or 6th, we get a home final. Yep. All going well there, and you win that one. You might end up with a second home final, or have to go. If the Crows lose, go to Adelaide, GWS, Geelong. So I don't know. I don't think you have to finish top 4, but I think the top 3 sides are beatable if you're 4th. So clearly it's better, but we're certainly not going to be at home. So it means travelling.
It does. And 2012 we won the first final. 2015 we lost the first final.
Yep.
Last year we lost the first final. Yep. So 2014 we won the first final.
Yeah.
Last year should have been the one, but it wasn't. So who knows what could happen this year?
Yeah, but I don't think you have to. But history tells you that
it's better.
It's better. Yeah.
All right, look, and if this finals bye wasn't happening and it didn't exist, my answer would be yes, hands down. We have to finish in the top 4. Otherwise, it's just going to be too hard.
Yep.
But given the fact that
don't forget we're a bit fresher this year too, because a lot of the guys were coming back in that week 4, 5, 6. Mills and others. So we've had to go pretty hard all year, I guess.
Yes,
every game's a final, like you said. You just can't lose one. But we are some of those key guys are. Rampy's had some time out, so they're fresher.
I think as long as there's no injuries, we should be okay. And the game style itself, it isn't a very physically it is physically taxing, but not so much as the run and gun style games that Essendon and Adelaide and a few other teams play.
It's pretty intense in terms of contact and impact, isn't it?
It is, but you also see that there isn't that explosive running to a certain extent that you see from other teams.
Yeah.
So the Swans look a bit smoother and a bit fresher later in games because they're controlling the game. Whereas you saw Essendon just went gung-ho for 2.5 quarters and got in front, but they ran out. Yep. Richmond as well, they ran out of steam at basically just after half time. Western Bulldogs, they run out of steam these days after 10 minutes. Top 4, it's probably not as important this year, but you still want it.
Yep.
So the next one is also from Stephen. Now we're nearing the end of the year. What type of player should we target at the trade table or draft? Do you want to answer that one?
Oh, Dustin Martin would be good.
Yeah.
Maybe Lever.
Yes, I wouldn't mind Lever, but also the defensive depth at the moment is insane at the Swans.
Yeah,
we've got Marsh, Laidler, Maybaum, Aaliyah, Johnson, the other Talia.
Yeah,
they're all key defensive players.
Yeah, you just absolute confidence with the Swans, with the recruiting staff and list management. You just know they're going to make great decisions. So
absolutely,
I think it's actually hard as a spectator to sit back and go, who should we pick, and they, coaching staff and match committee, they know every bit about where everyone's at, where will players retire or not. So, their salary cap, like as a fan, it's really hard because you just think we'll go after this, and this, but there's so many sort of levers that you have to you can play, but. I think you just got to pick the best player, don't you? That's available.
Absolutely. And look, do you think we need like a pacey outside mid, or like if, for instance, if we lost Tippett, another tall forward to replace him?
Yeah, I hope we don't. I hope Tippett's still there. I think that the game's only getting quicker and quicker, isn't it? So I think leg speed's leg speed's really important. But as you've just talked about, Kennedy and some others aren't super quick, but gee, they're good footballers. So
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And look, the game style change has also facilitated that lack of pace not being exploited. Something that the Dogs and Giants were so efficient at last season.
Yeah, that's true. I think they'll get to the draft and pick the best player that's available. And
yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
we've got a good look at Hayward from last year. We've got some.
Yes, good. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that, and to be honest, it's a bit of a hard one. I think, I don't know, like the side is really balanced. There's a lot of talent in the NEFL, I think, but I think the Swans should go a bigger-bodied midfielder.
Yeah, okay.
In the ilk of like a Kennedy Dawson, that 188 to 192 size.
Yeah.
Otherwise, maybe a reasonably good winger, like a good-bodied, fast winger. Maybe if there's a Lewis Jetta in the draft, that sort of player.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yep. I think those sort of players are what we need. If we were to lose someone, such as Tippett or anyone else, we should try and replace them. But even if we did lose Tippett, we've still got Aaliyah, we've still got Sinclair, we've still got Naismith. We've got a lot of depth in a lot of positions.
It's hard to, you think Aaliyah, like he was just fantastic, like all of last year, wasn't he? Just got better and better and better. He was, he could be the wild card.
He could be. And I think it was quite unfair early this season that our midfield depth was criticised.
Yeah,
without people realising the fact that we're missing like almost half of our midfield to begin with and almost all of our flankers. So
that's right. It was a completely different side, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit of a disaster to begin with. We had Foote and Robinson playing pretty much centre square balls after game. So
that's right.
And they're not really those sort of players either. So it was just bizarre.
Yeah,
quite bizarre time.
You could write a book hopefully at the end of the year, and
it all. It should
once
be a good
upon
one.
a time, and it had a great ending. Yeah.
Once upon a time in 2017 when the Swans won the premiership, there was this period of the season when they just sucked.
I don't think you'll see us for weeks, will we? We'll be... I don't know what I'll do. I think I'll just sit and watch it on TV for a week.
Yeah, probably a week of drinking and celebrating.
Don't tease me.
No, I'm not even sure I'll be able to touch the blog for like a week. It'll just be too much of, ha ha ha, you're all sucked in.
Yeah. Imagine the out of office email. Sorry, but I'm on leave,
when someone comments, back to you in a week.
Yeah. Where's Justin?
Where's Justin? Yeah, Justin's not here. It'd be like Fight Club when she comes in. Where's Tyler Durden? Tyler's not here. He's gone away. So, now for our last segment, we've got good call and bad call from the last week.
Okay.
So, Rowan had 3 predictions. His 3 predictions was the Doggies to win. Big time.
Dear. Yeah.
So he was way wide of the mark there.
Yeah.
He had an equally bad one. Actually, all 3 of them are bad, but this one's probably
it's
even
like
worse.
Family Feud with the three crosses.
Yep. 3 crosses. He had North Melbourne to win.
Oh, gee, I haven't worried about them all year. Yep.
No, not since like the bye. They've been pretty damn awful ever since. And then he also had Essendon win.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, I had to check this at the game, and for my predictions, my first one was actually correct at the game. Brave Dogs on Twitter, the hashtag Brave Dogs or Free Kick Bulldogs will trend. And it trended.
Really? Is that right?
Bing! Big tick. I'm finally getting one a week. I'm happy.
That's good. They do have the most free kicks all year, so
Yes, and it was no different.
It was actually
on,
Hawthorn that
Friday
started
night.
that, wasn't it? Free kick Hawthorn when they had that good
Hawthorn,
run.
yep.
Yeah.
Now the Dogs are getting the rub of the green and then some. Now this was a bad one. Tigers win by 5 goals. Missed that one by a mile.
Gee.
Yeah, I was spewing too.
Lucky, yeah, they had to be your villain after you picked them.
Yeah, I'm not that sort of vengeful, but God, they were bad.
You had to, yeah.
Yeah, and then also got Collingwood to beat Port Adelaide. They weren't without their chances of being in the game, but I thought, a bit of a
even in the last sort of 10 minutes, they were getting closer.
Yeah, they were never far out of the game. I thought they played well overall.
So who wins this week then? Dockers or Richmond?
I am going to have that on one of my predictions. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah, okay.
Now, Matt, could you please give me your 3 predictions for the round?
Okay, Swans win and Tippett kicks a late goal.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be after the siren, but I think you'll kick a really compelling goal.
Yep.
Let's go with a draw in. It's going to be that cold in Ballarat that it'll just be, low scoring and 1 or 2 points in it as well.
Yep.
And let's just go for something different. Let's just go. The Dockers will beat the Tigers in Perth.
Yep.
I mean, how many sides come back from a win after a 100-point loss?
More than you'd know. It's actually, and that's the one thing that I'm like looking at the fixture and I'm thinking they haven't been too bad, and they certainly haven't been too bad at home.
Yeah, I wouldn't have picked that 104 points. So that was
no. Well, I actually predicted Swans to win by 16 or 15, 16 goals. So
wow! Okay.
I said it in last week's podcast, and Rowan was laughing at me. Going, no, the Swans have got this covered. 15 goals.
You picked it. That's good.
Picked it.
So
yeah.
what are your predictions?
I am going to go with the Dockers as well.
Are you?
Yeah,
wow.
I got the Dockers.
I didn't share notes with you either.
No, but look, to be honest, I think they are a very good chance of doing in the Tigers. Now I just need to quickly find my fixture because I had it before. I had some notes on it.
I'll be in Adelaide, staying for the weekend with the family, and if the Dockers beat the Tigers, Chris Jansen will not be happy. You'll have to have her on as a guest next week.
Yeah. I have. I've got Franklin with over 130 AFL fantasy points.
Okay.
So
lots of possessions, lots of 3 or 4 goals, maybe. Lots of tackles.
Lots of tackles, lots of inside 50s, lots of all the beautiful stuff he does.
Wow.
And on that, I'm going to have him also 600 plus metres gained.
How do they measure that?
They measure it from where they first collect the ball to where they carry it and dispose it. So it doesn't matter if it's a turnover, as long as the ball goes forward. They can also have negative metres gained if they go backwards.
Yeah, but in the kick or the run?
Either. It's basically where they gathered the possession and then where the ball travelled after that point.
Okay.
And then...
fancy GPS.
Yeah, I think that's how they do it, but they measure it from where the kick is or the disposal is to where the ball travels or lands or is intercepted.
Yeah. Even a handball counts.
Even a handball counts.
What if you handball backwards?
Then you lose metres.
Oh,
and you look a bit silly when you've got negative metres gained.
Yeah, but it might have been the right kick.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why you kick at 90 degrees now, not 91 and go back.
91, yeah. Well, there have been some players who have actually had negative metres gained.
Yeah, wow.
So, and my third one.
Yeah, third one.
Oh, I keep going back to him, but I'm going back to this well. I've got Collingwood. I'm picking Collingwood.
Collingwood against the Cats?
Yep, I'm picking them. I've picked them 3 times, and I'm going back to this well. Eventually, they're going to help me out, or they're just going to keep stitching me up.
So they win this one. Nathan coaches next year, doesn't he?
Yeah. It's a bit of a bizarre one, and it's kind of a bit of a laughable situation. I think he gets a lot of criticism that he probably doesn't deserve.
Isn't it? It's weird though. You look at you put Geelong, as a Victorian team, but the true traditional Melbourne teams, the is it 7 or the 8 in the bottom? The traditional Victorian Melbourne clubs. Like it's incredible.
Yeah, they're not doing too good this year, that's for sure.
No, there'll be an inquiry.
Yeah, Eddie's inquiry.
Yeah,
bring back the VFL.
Yeah, take the salary cap down for every other club.
Oh, look, they're already running roughshod over Gil McLaughlin anyway.
Yeah.
Him and the guy from Hawthorn, so what's new? And Peter Gordon stamping his feet, making as much noise as he can.
He was.
Poor us, poor little broke club. Oh, we win a premiership, don't worry about us.
Yeah, let's hope they miss the 8. No,
yes.
I'm only kidding.
Not many,
Big round
not
of
many
football.
Swans fans would be disappointed if they missed the 8.
No, that's right.
But look, Matt, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you, my pleasure. It's been awesome, and I look forward to listening next week and hearing about those predictions.
Oh yeah, hopefully we win the game, and it's a good podcast too.
We won't need to talk about anything else other than winning the game. Yep. Awesome.
And remember, guys, you can always follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram using the tag The Swans Blog. And you can always be in touch with us during the week using the hashtag SwansCast. Thank you very much, and until next time, go Swans!